The alien ship Bright Discovery hovered silently above the empty streets of Millfield. Captain Dorr stood at the viewing port, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he studied the abandoned human settlement below. The evacuation orders following the earthquake had emptied the town, creating the perfect opportunity for their research mission. Atmospheric readings are within acceptable parameters, Science Officer Mick reported, her blue skin reflecting the glow of the control panel. No detection of harmful substances. Excellent, Dorr said. Prepare the landing team. We have 6 hours before human authorities might return to check the evacuation zone. The Bright Discovery touched down in an empty parking lot, its landing mechanisms barely making a sound. Dorr led his 3-member science team out of the ship, each wearing their standard protective suits despite the favorable readings. First contact protocols demanded caution. Remember, Dorr told his team, observe and collect samples only. The Council wants information about human civilization, not an incident. Lena, the cultural specialist, adjusted her data recorder. These structures appear to be commercial rather than residential. Perfect for understanding their daily activities. The team moved cautiously through the empty streets. The buildings stood intact despite the recent earthquake, though some windows had shattered and items had fallen from shelves. The aliens stopped in front of a large building with a sign reading Baker's Hardware and Tools. This appears to be a distribution center for physical implements, Taz, the technology analyst, observed. The perfect place to understand their material culture. The front door had been left unlocked in the hurried evacuation. The aliens entered, their eyes widening at the rows upon rows of items hanging on walls, stacked on shelves, and displayed in cases. Fascinating, Lena whispered, approaching a display of hammers. These must be ceremonial objects. Note the balanced design and smooth grip portion. Dorr moved deeper into the store, past aisles containing thousands of unfamiliar objects. The aliens' own civilization had evolved beyond physical tools centuries ago, their technology based on programmable matter and thought interfaces. These solid, specialized implements seemed charmingly primitive. Captain, Mick called, I believe this section contains significant items. They appear to be organized as a collection. Dorr joined her at the back of the store. A glass case displayed what appeared to be premium items with a sign reading, professional-grade contractor tools, custom orders. These must be important to their culture, Dorr decided. The separate display suggests value. Inside the case were various implements, a heavy-duty hammer with a reinforced handle, a power drill with multiple attachments, a chainsaw with custom grip, and various other tools Jack Miller had special ordered for his construction business. We should take samples from this collection, Taz suggested. The Council will want to examine these artifacts. Agreed, Dorr said. But be selective. We cannot take too many without being noticed. The team carefully removed select items from the display, scanning each one and placing them in their collection containers. Taz was particularly intrigued by the chainsaw, admiring its complex chain mechanism without understanding its cutting purpose. Such intricate design for such a primitive species, he noted. Though I cannot determine its function. Lena picked up the nail gun, turning it over in her hands. Perhaps a food preparation tool? The shape suggests it dispenses something. Mick collected several smaller tools, screwdrivers, wrenches, and a utility knife, placing each in separate containers. Their reliance on physical manipulation is remarkable. No neural interfaces or automated systems. As the aliens collected their samples, they failed to notice the small security camera in the corner of the store, its red light blinking steadily. The town evacuation had been hurried but not complete, the security systems remained operational, silently recording their activities. Within 30 minutes, the team had collected 23 items from throughout the store, focusing on the professional tools in the display case. They left as quietly as they had arrived, carrying their containers of primitive artifacts back to the ship. "The council will be pleased," Dorr said as they prepared for departure. "These samples will provide valuable insight into human development." The bright Discovery lifted off smoothly, leaving no trace of their visit except for the empty spaces in the tool display case. Jack Miller turned his truck around at the roadblock, frustrated but determined. The evacuation order covered the entire town, but he needed his specialized toolkit for the job that started next week. "Sorry, sir, no exceptions," the National Guard officer had told him. "The area isn't cleared for return yet." Jack knew another way into town, a service road that wouldn't be blocked. He'd just slip in, grab his tools from the hardware store where he'd left them for safekeeping during the earthquake repairs on his house, and be out before anyone noticed. 20 minutes later, he pulled up behind Baker's Hardware. Using his key to the back entrance, he slipped inside, making his way to the custom tool display where he'd stored his most expensive equipment. "What the hell?" Jack muttered, staring at the empty display case. The alarm hadn't been triggered, but his tools were gone. He quickly checked the security system, rewinding the footage from earlier that day. His jaw dropped as the screen showed 4 strange figures entering the store. They weren't human, their proportions were wrong, their skin colors impossible, and they had too many eyes. He watched in disbelief as the creatures carefully examined and collected his tools, treating them like mysterious artifacts. "You have got to be kidding me," Jack said, rewinding and watching again. Aliens. Actual aliens had stolen his custom-made tools. Tools that had cost him thousands of dollars and were essential for his livelihood. He pulled out his phone and dialed. "Tom? It's Jack. You're not going to believe what I'm looking at right now. Remember how your military buddies are always watching for unusual activity? Well, I've got something they're definitely going to want to see." Aboard the bright Discovery, the science team had arranged their collected human artifacts on examination tables in the research lab. Captain Dorr supervised as his team began the cataloging process, their eyes wide with scientific curiosity. "Let us begin formal classification," Mick announced, activating the recording system. She lifted Jack's premium hammer, turning it slowly under the bright analysis lights. Specimen A1, a balanced object with a hardened impact end and grip designed for a 5-fingered species. The care in its construction suggests ceremonial significance, likely used in worship or status display. Dorr nodded approvingly while Taz approached the power drill. He pressed the trigger accidentally, jumping back as the drill bit spun rapidly. "Fascinating," he exclaimed. "Specimen B4 creates rotational energy. Perhaps a kinetic art piece?" The varying attachments could change the visual patterns or sounds produced during cultural gatherings. Lena was examining the chainsaw, completely unaware of its cutting purpose. This heavier object has a complex external component. The linked segments suggest it may be worn or displayed during significant ceremonies. The activation method is unclear. She pressed several buttons randomly, and the team stepped back in surprise when the chainsaw roared to life, its chain spinning rapidly. Lena dropped it on the table where it vibrated violently, knocking over several smaller tools. "Emergency shutdown," Dorr commanded. Taz hit the kill switch, and the chainsaw fell silent. "Unexpected energy output," Dorr noted. "These primitives have created objects with considerable power, though their purpose remains unclear." Mick approached the nail gun next, her analysis completely missing its true function. "This device appears to be a food processing tool. Note the forward-facing aperture where soft nutrients would likely emerge." She pointed it toward her face to examine it more closely, her finger dangerously close to the trigger. "Perhaps a sampling might." "Allow me to take that," Dorr interrupted, gently removing the nail gun from her grasp. Something about these tools triggered his survival instincts, though he couldn't articulate why. Back on Earth, Jack paced in Tom's office while 3 military officials reviewed the security footage. This is unprecedented, the senior officer said. First confirmed extraterrestrial contact, and they stole your toolkit. Those are custom-made tools, Jack insisted. That chainsaw alone cost me $2,000. Tom studied a tablet displaying one of the aliens. We've tracked their ship leaving Earth's atmosphere. They're heading toward the outer solar system. So what now? Jack asked. They just get away with it? Not necessarily, Tom replied. We've been developing experimental spacecraft based on recovered technology. This could be the perfect test mission. I want in, Jack said firmly. Those are my tools. The senior officer looked skeptical. You're a civilian contractor, not an astronaut. Those aliens don't understand what they've taken, Jack argued. They were handling dangerous equipment like toys. My nail gun alone could kill someone if misused. He has a point, Tom said. And who better to retrieve construction tools than a construction worker? The officer sighed. I'll have to get approval. This is highly irregular. Jack checked his phone, a tracking app displaying a small blinking dot moving through the solar system. They don't know I keep GPS trackers in my expensive tools. I know exactly where they're going. The officers exchanged surprised looks. Pack your bags, Mr. Miller, the senior officer finally said. And whatever backup tools you have. You're going to space. This is insane, Jack muttered as he stared at the sleek spacecraft in the underground military facility. Just 48 hours after discovering aliens had stolen his tools, he was preparing to chase them through space. General Hill, a stern woman with gray hair pulled into a tight bun, briefed Jack and the small team assembled for the mission. This is not an offensive operation, she emphasized. We want to establish peaceful contact while retrieving stolen property. Nothing more. Jack nodded, but his focus remained on the flight suit he'd been given. It felt surreal, he'd gone from fixing roofs to becoming part of humanity's first official space pursuit. Mr. Miller will be accompanied by Agent Bell, our xenolinguistics specialist, General Hill continued, gesturing to a tall woman with short black hair and an expression that revealed nothing. I speak 7 Earth languages, Bell said to Jack. I'm hoping that gives me some foundation for establishing communication. I just want my tools back, Jack replied. Before they hurt themselves or damage my equipment. In the prep room, Jack carefully packed his backup toolkit, not as good as his stolen customized set, but still professional grade. They might come in handy, he explained when Bell raised an eyebrow. You're bringing tools, to get your tools? She asked. Always be prepared, Jack said with a shrug. 18 years in construction teaches you that. Meanwhile, the bright Discovery had reached its destination, a massive orbital research station circling the aliens' home planet. The station's curved hull gleamed against the backdrop of a world with 3 small moons and swirling purple clouds. Captain Dorr stood proudly as senior researcher Vell examined the human artifacts. Dozens of scientists had gathered to witness the presentation. These primitive implements reveal much about human civilization, Dorr explained. Note the reliance on physical manipulation rather than thought interfaces. Vell lifted the power drill, studying it with his 6 eyes. Remarkable craftsmanship for such a developing species. Have you determined its purpose? We believe it creates pleasing visual patterns during cultural rituals, Mick offered. The rotation suggests symbolic meaning. Another scientist activated the nail gun, pointing it at a wall. A nail shot out with explosive force, embedding deep into the metal panel and causing everyone to jump back in alarm. Fascinating propulsion mechanism. Vell exclaimed after recovering from his shock. Perhaps a hunting tool? The humans arrange these items in specialized display cases, Dorr said. We believe they hold ceremonial significance. Vell nodded thoughtfully. The Central Council will want to see these. Prepare them for the diplomatic gathering tomorrow. Representatives from 12 systems will be present. This will make an excellent cultural exchange presentation. Back on Earth, Jack and Bell boarded the experimental spacecraft. Its engines contained reverse-engineered technology that the military hadn't officially acknowledged possessing. The alien's ship is currently docked at what appears to be a large space station, the mission controller explained. Our calculations give us a 96-hour journey time using the enhanced propulsion system. Jack checked the tracking app on his military-issued tablet. The signal remained strong, a testament to the quality of the tracking chips he'd installed in his tools. "Better not damage my chainsaw," he muttered as the spacecraft's engines engaged. "That thing's got a lifetime warranty." As Earth shrank behind them, Jack realized the absurdity of his situation. He was a construction worker chasing aliens across the solar system to retrieve a toolkit. At least he'd have one hell of a story for his next job site, if he survived to tell it. 4 days of space travel had given Jack plenty of time to worry about his tools. The experimental spacecraft approached the massive alien station, its cloaking technology activating as they neared. "Remember the plan," Agent Bell said as she guided the ship toward a maintenance dock identified by their scanners. "We get in, find your tools, and leave without starting an interstellar incident." Jack nodded, checking his utility belt where he'd stored a few basic tools. "Just don't expect me to be diplomatic if they've damaged my custom saw." Their ship attached to an unused docking port, and Bell hacked the airlock using technology Jack decided not to ask about. The pair slipped into a maintenance corridor, the air breathable but carrying an odd metallic scent. "The tracking signal is strongest 2 levels up," Jack whispered, checking his device. "Some kind of large central chamber." They moved through service tunnels, avoiding the main corridors where alien beings of various forms moved about their business. Jack felt like he was navigating a construction site after hours, staying in the shadows and moving quietly between structural supports. A commotion ahead caught their attention. They peered through a ventilation grate into a large laboratory where several aliens surrounded a table. Jack immediately recognized his power drill in the hands of a small alien child who had somehow accessed the restricted area. "No, don't," Jack whispered instinctively. The child activated the drill, its high-speed bit catching the loose fabric of a nearby adult alien's garment. Fabric wound rapidly around the bit, yanking the surprised alien forward. Chaos erupted as the drill was dropped, still running, bouncing across the floor and causing the gathered aliens to scatter. "Contain the artifact," shouted an alien Jack recognized from the security footage as Captain Door. Station security rushed into the room, their attention focused on the dangerous artifact rather than potential intruders. "This is our chance," Bell whispered. "They're distracted." They slipped past the commotion and followed Jack's tracker to a connected chamber. Inside, Jack found his tools arranged on display pedestals like museum pieces. Labels in alien script described imagined purposes completely unrelated to construction. "My nail gun is labeled as a food dispensing ceremonial object," Jack said incredulously. "And my chainsaw is described as a mobility device. These aliens have no idea what they're messing with." Bell checked a terminal nearby. "According to this, they're planning a major demonstration of your primitive artifacts tomorrow for some kind of diplomatic summit. We need to get these out of here before someone gets hurt," Jack said, reaching for his custom hammer. "Or before they completely ruin my warranty." Jack and Bell hid in a maintenance closet adjacent to the grand presentation hall. Through a small ventilation duct, they watched as alien dignitaries from various worlds filed in, their diverse forms and colors creating a living rainbow of extraterrestrial life. "We need to grab the tools before the demonstration starts," Jack whispered, but Bell shook her head. "Security's too tight. We'll never reach them in time." In the center of the hall, Jack's tools had been arranged on a circular platform, dramatically lit from above. Captain Door stood proudly beside the display, wearing formal attire that shimmered with metallic threads. Distinguished representatives, Door announced, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. Today we present artifacts from humanity, a developing species from the third planet of a yellow star system. The audience murmured with interest as Door lifted Jack's hammer. This ceremonial object demonstrates their reliance on physical force rather than thought energy. Note the primitive but effective design. Jack gritted his teeth as Door mishandled his perfectly balanced framing hammer. A large alien with silvery skin approached the platform. "Is this the species we've been monitoring?" he asked. "The Council has debated making contact for decades." "Yes, High Counselor Raz," Door confirmed. "These artifacts provide valuable insight into their development stage." Raz examined the tools with interest. "May I try one of these devices?" Door beamed with pride. "Of course, High Counselor. Perhaps this rotating artistic instrument?" He handed Raz the power drill. "No, no, no," Jack muttered. Raz turned the drill in his six-fingered hands, accidentally pressing the trigger. The drill whirred to life, startling him so badly he dropped it onto the platform where it bounced against the chainsaw starter button. The chainsaw roared to life, its chain spinning rapidly as it vibrated across the platform. Aliens scattered in panic as the power tools moved chaotically. The nail gun fell to the floor, discharging a nail that ricocheted off a metal column. "Control the artifacts," Door shouted as station security rushed forward. "Now's our chance," Bell said, pulling Jack through a service door toward the chaos. Alarms blared throughout the station as the gathered dignitaries evacuated the hull. Jack rushed to the platform, narrowly dodging an alien security officer. "What are you doing?" Bell called as Jack began shutting down his tools properly. "I'm not leaving without them," Jack replied, killing the chainsaw's engine and securing the drill. He quickly packed the tools into a bag Bell had brought. An announcement echoed through the station: "Unknown containment breach. All non-security personnel evacuate to safety zones." "They think your tools are the threat, not us," Bell realized. Jack shouldered his recovered tool bag. "Let's use that to our advantage." "Where's the nearest exit route?" "This way," Bell said, consulting her tablet. "Through the service tunnels to the maintenance bay." As they slipped into a corridor, Jack spotted Captain Door staring at him from across the hall, recognition dawning in his four eyes. "Human," Door called out, but Jack and Bell had already disappeared into the maintenance tunnel, the sound of chaos covering their escape. "All security teams to levels 3 through 5, announced a calm voice over the station's communication system. "Locate and contain the unknown intruders. Exercise extreme caution around the activated artifacts." Jack and Bell raced through the maintenance tunnels, the weight of the recovered tools slowing Jack's pace. Behind them, the sounds of pursuing security forces echoed through the metal corridors. "They're gaining on us," Jack panted. "We need to slow them down." He quickly reached into his bag and pulled out his air compressor, a compact but powerful model he used for nail guns. "What are you doing?" Bell asked, glancing nervously behind them. "Creating a distraction." Jack set the compressor against a ventilation duct and activated it at maximum pressure. The powerful rush of air through the station's ventilation system created a howling noise that reverberated throughout the nearby sections. Confused shouts from their pursuers confirmed the effectiveness of his improvised diversion. "This way," Bell directed, consulting her tablet map. "2 more levels down to our docking port." They descended through a maintenance ladder, emerging in a corridor blocked by a security door. 3 alien guards approached from the opposite end. "Stand aside," Bell ordered Jack, reaching for her sidearm. "Wait," Jack said, pulling out his nail gun. "No need for that." He quickly fired several nails around the door frame, effectively jamming the security door's sliding mechanism. The aliens shouted in their language, rushing forward. Now we run, Jack said, leading Bell down an adjacent passage. The station layout became increasingly confusing as they descended deeper into the maintenance levels. Jack used a small grinding tool to create sparks near sensor panels, triggering false alarms that further confused the station's security systems. "You're surprisingly good at this," Bell remarked as they paused to catch their breath in a small utility room. "Construction work isn't just building things," Jack replied. "Half the job is figuring out how to work around problems." A voice came from Bell's communication device. "Agent Bell, this is Extraction Team. We're monitoring your position. Ship is prepped for emergency departure." "Copy that," Bell responded. "We have the package and are en route. Expect heavy resistance." The communication ended as the door to their hiding spot slid open. Captain Dorr stood there, flanked by 2 security officers. "I believed we were studying primitive artifacts," Dorr said, his 4 eyes fixed on Jack. "Now I see we greatly underestimated your species." Jack raised his hands slowly, the tool bag still slung over his shoulder. "Look, I just came for my tools. No hard feelings about the misunderstanding." Dorr's expression was unreadable. "You traversed interstellar space to recover simple implements?" "Why? They're not just tools," Jack explained. "They're how I make my living. They're my livelihood." Something in Dorr's posture changed, a new understanding dawning. "You crossed the void between worlds for your work tools? Wouldn't you?" Jack asked. Before Dorr could answer, alarms blared again. The entire station shuddered. "Captain!" A voice called over Dorr's communicator. "The human artifacts in Laboratory 2 have been activated. Containment breach in progress." Dorr's attention split, giving Bell the opportunity she needed. She threw a small device that emitted a blinding flash, disorienting the aliens. "Move," she shouted, pulling Jack toward their escape route. As they ran, Jack realized what had happened: they hadn't recovered all his tools. Jack and Bell reached the final checkpoint before their docking bay. A heavy security barrier blocked their path, with no obvious bypass route. "This wasn't on our entry path," Bell said, studying her tablet. "They've rerouted security protocols." Jack examined the door mechanism, recognizing principles similar to Earth technology despite its alien design. "I can get through this." He pulled tools from his recovered bag and began working on the control panel. "Every door has a weak point. It's just a matter of finding it." Bell watched in amazement as Jack's practiced hands made quick work of the alien technology. "How are you doing that? You've never seen alien tech before." "Physics is physics," Jack replied. "Electrical systems follow rules. The specifics might be different, but the principles are universal." As the door yielded to Jack's improvised solution, Captain Dorr appeared at the far end of the corridor, alone this time. "Wait," Dorr called out. "Please, human." Jack hesitated, tool in hand. "We need to go." "I want to understand," Dorr said, approaching cautiously. "These implements, you use them to build? To create?" Jack nodded. "They're not ceremonial. They're practical. That artistic device is a power drill. It joins materials together. The mobility device is a chainsaw for cutting large objects." Understanding dawned in Dorr's 4 eyes. "We've been studying your species for decades, focusing on your digital technology, your governments, your conflicts. We overlooked your practical innovations." A station-wide announcement interrupted: "Containment achieved in Laboratory 2. All artifacts secured." Dorr's communicator buzzed. "Captain, we've analyzed the remaining human devices. They appear to be sophisticated tools for material manipulation, not ceremonial objects." Jack couldn't help but smile. "Told you." Dor studied Jack with newfound respect. Your kind developed specific physical tools for countless applications instead of pursuing thought interface technology. A completely different evolutionary path. We're practical problem solvers, Jack said, then gestured to his tool bag. These represent thousands of years of human innovation. They're worth protecting. Belle checked her device. Jack, extraction team reports our window is closing. We need to move. Dor stepped aside. I will not stop you. But I propose an exchange, an official alliance between our worlds. We have much to learn from each other. I'm just a contractor, Jack said. Not a diplomat. Yet you crossed space to retrieve your tools, Dor replied. That tells me more about humanity than any official transmission. Jack considered this, then reached into his bag and handed Dor a simple hammer. Consider this a gift. It's called a hammer. Start with this, learn how it works, what it's for. That's how understanding begins. Dor accepted the hammer with reverence. We will establish proper protocols for future contact. Jack nodded. Good idea. And next time, ask before borrowing someone's tools. As Jack and Belle departed the station, the experimental spacecraft breaking away smoothly, Jack looked back at the alien structure growing smaller behind them. So, Belle said, did you ever imagine your toolbox would lead to humanity's first official alien alliance? Jack chuckled, checking his recovered tools for damage. I always said these were worth their weight in gold. Turns out they're worth even more in intergalactic diplomacy. On the station, Captain Dor carefully examined the hammer, finally understanding its simple but elegant purpose, and the remarkable species that had created it.